Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Deaton elaborates on why, despite a major victory against SEC, Ripple will want to settle. Here, at the opening of the film, I'll mention that a settlement in the SEC versus Ripple case can take place either before or after a decision is made on summary judgment by Judge Torres. After Judge Torres's ruling, Ripple can reach a settlement with the SEC, win or lose. To be perfectly frank with you, I don't think I truly grasped this until very lately. It had never been put into words before, at least not to this extent. So, Ripple could reach a settlement with the SEC even after the release of Judge Torres' summary judgment, whenever that may be. There's also this. It's an article by lawyer John Deaton that came out today. It's posted on Bloomberg, as well as on his crypto legal blog. However, I've included the Bloomberg version below. In essence, it's the same. I'm merely pointing out that it may be found on this site. The SEC's crypto litigation is entering uncharted waters, as John Deaton has put it. Now, I haven't read this John Deaton article, so I figured we could all discover it for the first time on the Moon Family Sedan channel right now. Because, I'm going to write about it if it involves John Deaton, attorney. Nothing here need my approval. Hello, everyone. I'm John Deaton. That's why I thought it would be amusing if we did it jointly. But I do want to clarify something before we go any further. I come from no financial or legal background. You shouldn't buy or sell anything based on what I say or write because I am not a legal or financial advisor. Just a hobbyist here that occasionally posts films to YouTube on various crypto-related topics. A quick amount of groundwork to make sure everyone is on the same page. There have been wild reports yesterday and a little bit today, but largely yesterday, that Ripple will be meeting with the SEC on May 8th, so I decided to make a film on it last night. And certainly, if that occurs, settlement is a possibility. However, there is zero evidence to support this. When I realized how many people were discussing it, I knew I had to share my thoughts. I did that last night, and some of what I discussed is displayed here. And I won't repeat all of the material I presented there. Probably around 14, maybe even 14 and a half, 15 minutes. This is the only crucial detail that I want to stress to you. These are the only tweets from John Deaton that will be displayed. In case you somehow managed to avoid this till now. Since this is a foundation, I will move on to the most recent developments in this area. That's why I have to explain this and rewind a little bit. But just to be crystal clear, yes, the May 8th thing is just utter nonsense, bunk. Nope, not gonna happen. It isn't going to happen. This is not how a settlement is reached, Attorney Deaton concluded. First, in my opinion, Judge Torres' order is the sole possible trigger for a settlement in this matter. Only if Ripple scores a major victory will this occur. This settlement allowed Gensler to avoid embarrassment and score a political victory. I'm afraid that just can't happen. That's why I'm pausing to make this point now. That's where attorney John Deaton said that any settlement would have to wait for a judgment from Judge Torres. That, I believe, caught many people by surprise. And I must confess that I didn't realize it was even a possibility until just recently. Is that what we'd call it in the field? And that's the point I'm making at the moment. Actually, I don't think most of us knew that the proper term for what happens after a conclusion, regarding like a decision on something for like summary judgment, if a defendant loses, is settlement. That's the usual course of events. In the library case, for instance, there was still negotiation of a settlement after the library was found guilty but before the verdict was handed down. Regardless, Attorney Deaton questioned how Gensler could agree that current and future XRP sales do not constitute securities while still going after Coinbase and others. He could try to argue that XRP is unique among digital currencies, but it's like trying to thread a needle. For more than 2 years, it said it was similar to others. Second, they wouldn't schedule a meeting where a leak could affect the market because of allegations of market manipulation and insider trading. If they could, they'd have a sit-down and negotiate a settlement. They wouldn't tell the judge about the agreement until after it was reached. From the sounds of this unofficial report, someone was hoping to coordinate a pump. That is what he stated the day before, and I reported on it. What would this even look like and why is the subject of recent developments in this area? In response to the short tweet exchange I just described with you, a community member called Jess wrote to John Deaton with the message, "I have a stupid question. If Ripple wins big, they shouldn't want to give it all up. I'm going to advise Gary to take a husky." That's not a phrase with which I'm familiar. In response, attorney John Deaton retweeted, adding, "Quite a few people ask why Ripple would settle if they won first. I in no way implied that Ripple would provide their blessing. They would agree to the same terms of a settlement now that they would have accepted 2 years ago. It depends on the specifics of the ruling. Does Kraken and Coinbase release instantly, or do they wait for an appeal? Is Bank of America, a Ripple partner, confident in the ruling, or are they holding out hope that Judge Torres will be reversed? What if the SEC files an appeal against her decision? Keep in mind that the SEC can withdraw its notice of appeal at any time after filing it. Ripple has said that if the SEC were to tell it that XRP sales are not securities, it would release a statement to that effect and not file an appeal. If Ripple agrees to pay $50 million, I think Brad Garlinghouse will sign a check in seconds because of the certainty and the quick return of cash to the United States. If Judge Torres rules in favor of Ripple, it might allow liquidity to return to the US and make US businesses less worried about angering the SEC by using XRP. So, now you understand what he's trying to say. To what extent there might be clarity for transactions in the United States, according to attorney John Deaton, is more important than whether or not Ripple technically had any infractions based on transactions up to the moment of the complaint. That, then, is the present inquiry. That's why we can be somewhat flexible. Even if Torres's summary ruling is ultimately more beneficial to Ripple, the SEC still has a chance to save some dignity. John Deaton may be saying here, and this is something I didn't know until he mentioned it, that if the SEC offers more clarity, Brad Garlinghouse may still have reason to pay a huge, big-ass check. Would the SEC really act like that? And once more, it is the million-dollar question. Deaton isn't making any promises that these conditions will hold, rather, he's merely outlining the considerations that might lead to them. And now, for the first time ever, we will both read the same article. Again, you can read the article by lawyer John Deaton on Bloomberg. SEC Crypto Litigation, Entering Uncharted Legal Waters was the title he gave it. And the following was just released for the first time this morning. The USC issued the seminal SEC decision. V. Howey ruling from 1946, which defined securities in great detail. Those judges had no way of knowing that nearly a century later, complex digital trade would take place over encrypted lines of computer code. In contrast to the judgment made by the Financial Stability Oversight Council, the Securities and Exchange Commission under Chairman Gary Gensler has its own vision of how cryptocurrency should be handled today. Also, it's getting us into some murky waters legally. In the Howey case, investors received passive income from the resort's maintenance and commercialization of orange trees sold to guests at the resort. An investment in a shared venture where one can reasonably expect a profit from the labor of others meets the so-called Howey test and is therefore a security. The test fails if any of the three criteria are missing. Whiskey, condos, chinchillas, oil and gas, and even beavers were all named as potential sources of unregistered securities in the hundreds of federal investigations that followed. I need to take a moment, John the lawyer. You do realize that the actual beaver serves as the safety mechanism, right? The chinchilla is a security creature by design. You do realize it was merely a part of a plot. You do realize that the chinchilla and the beaver are examples of living securities, right? That, at least, is the impression that XRP promoters like Kim Jong-Gensler and the SEC hucksters would like to give. I mean, why not? Attorney Deaton continues, any plan to sell an asset, including bitcoins, would pass this test with flying colors. It is the basis for today's securities law. However, the SEC has been arguing the opposite for 2 years in its largest unregistered securities enforcement action against a cryptocurrency company. The defendant in the case is Ripple Labs, a software business based in the United States that offers banks a digital payment system that uses the cryptocurrency XRP as a bridge asset to settle international payments in a matter of seconds at essentially no cost. Since 2013, Ripple has sold off billions of XRP tokens it had to cryptocurrency exchanges, which then resold them to millions of retail holders via secondary markets. The XRP ledger has developed over the past decade into a decentralized, permissionless, distributed ledger used by a wide range of businesses and individuals. At one point, the XRP coin had the third highest market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies. And let me pause for a moment to highlight something, as this is one of the most glaring gaps in terms of regulatory certainty. Distributed ledger technology is what we're talking about when we discuss the XRP ledger or any other permissionless, decentralized network. Here, we must address the issue of what counts as a joint venture in this context. Because if the network is initially centralized, it's hard to argue otherwise. So, there you have it. If there is a thing, this is it. If there is a network, this is it. If there is a token on this network, this is it. If you plan on selling it, though, passing the Howey exam will be much less of a hassle. That's exactly, everything is crystal clear, in particular, the joint venture element. Well, okay, but what happens when a network does shift to become more decentralized? This is a grey area where the SEC refuses to shed light. What does that imply for extra people taking part? This is the truth, and they need to accept that. And lawyer Deaton has discussed this at length. You zero in on particular deals for particular buyers and sellers in the market. And so, if you want to get where you want to go, the network must continue to decentralize. Furthermore, after possibly participants that had nothing to do with the creation of it, which, by the way, you could do, you would have to focus again on those specific, those specific individuals for those specific transactions. Okay, but what exactly qualifies as such is not defined with any precision. As a result, it may be grasped with little effort. That's why I stress that this is only my impression and not necessarily my opinion. Not all of the Howey test applications in securities law would have to be scrapped. I'm not actively trying to make it happen. I believe this could be fixed with some well-considered tweaks and could even be made to work. If you're capable of handling such a situation. After observing this for more than 2 years, I believe that you are very close to your goal. Something like that will happen, then? Attorney Deaton continues, now, of course, there are separate considerations when it comes to other aspects of DeFi and what it means for cryptocurrency exchanges, but in particular when it comes to tokens themselves and people building, meaning developers building on top of the ledger. Therefore, I take care to secure a suitable seat. That settles it. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard it, but that was me coughing. My dog is hiding behind the desk there. To put it simply, she just... What's in your mouth? Stop what you're doing. Don't go just yet. Simply put, who are you? When did you start doing that? To chew, as it were. What exactly are you attempting to gnaw on? There isn't a toy hiding down there. In a word, yes. Represents a cord. I'm truly sorry to everyone. She seems to have a minor stomachache. Get in here. Get in here. Get in here. Could you please take a nap? Get in here. That's okay. The dog owners may rest easy. You will eventually become as she did. While we were out walking earlier, she started gnawing on some grass. And once it occurred, you already knew what it meant. If you're a dog owner, that probably signifies your pet isn't feeling well internally. As a result, there is now nothing stored under the desk, despite the fact that she is typically located there whenever I'm making movies. And she bit into her food. There is literally nothing in my mouth to chew on. And she appeared to be making an effort to communicate with the law, or some such. I can't say for sure. It's not clicking with me. An apology was conveyed to her. In any case, please accept my apologies. However, if I may proceed, please allow me to do so. That's okay. Get in here. Get in here. That's okay. Here. I'm going to come get you. Get in here. Get in here. Sweetie, please come here. Okay. I understand. Okay, then. Okay, then. Let's move forward now. I'm truly sorry to everyone. In any case, the XRP ledger has developed over the past decade into a decentralized, permissionless, distributed ledger with a lot of options. You're making dog noises, so this won't work either. Okay, you can peek. You're going back where I got you. You must maintain silence. You, okay, then? Can you get some rest? Could you? Can you get some rest? It's time to get some rest. Let's go, honey. All right, you stay put, all right. Excellent work, young lady. Over. I truly apologize. The XRP ledger has expanded as a decentralized, permissionless, distributed ledger used in many different ways over the past decade. At one point, the XRP coin had the third highest market capitalization of all cryptocurrencies. Being both an XRP investor and a litigator, I quickly read the SEC's complaint. To satisfy the Howey test, I assumed the SEC would require Ripple to provide evidence of particular, early sales of XRP. That makes perfect sense. However, I was surprised to learn that the SEC is taking the position that all XRP sales have been and always will be treated as securities due to the fact that the digital asset was designed to function exclusively as a security. John, you are correct, but that is no different than comparing beavers to chinchillas. It makes sense to me. The token, according to attorney Deaton, is the physical manifestation of an investment contract in Ripple. They dispute even in the secondary markets when none of us has any stake in the company. This exceeds the scope of the 1933 Securities Act and more than 250 rulings from the Federal Appellate and Supreme Courts on securities law. The SEC's case is like saying that oranges in Hawaii are the physical manifestation of a plan to sell off the plantations. How does a corner store get an orange SEC registered if that's the case? Exactly. Dead on. As the value of XRP fell by $15 billion, all US exchanges immediately suspended trading out of fear of SEC retaliation, locking up the tokens of innocent retail holders. The SEC, which ostensibly stood up for these investors, unintentionally caused enormous harm to their holdings. I successfully amicus curiae the case on behalf of a class of over 75,000 retail XRP investors. Our justifications are reasonable. Most token buyers claim they were unaware of Ripple Labs' existence before to making their purchase. They couldn't have entered into an investment contract or a common business with a corporation they had never heard of based on these lines of computer code since there is no precedent for such a thing in the law. Howey thinks that's a good plan. The stakes in the Ripple case are high, especially on appeal, therefore Judge Annalisa Torres of the Southern District of New York is taking her time making a decision. The open issues that need answers. A review of how securities law got its start and what kinds of assets are and aren't protected today. Torres is also aware that the present US Supreme Court has been striking down overzealous regulators who exceed the authority Congress has provided them. Coinbase and even libraries have been sued by the SEC for their involvement in the cryptocurrency industry. The public pronouncements made by Gensler about crypto became more pointed. The bigger picture started to take shape. His predecessor left him the Ripple case. He has put the legal theory behind it, the cornerstone of an extension of regulatory power in court, rather than through rulemaking or legislation, which has enraged Congress. The SEC is taking advantage of crypto's legal gray area in order to dramatically redefine what constitutes an investment contract and a common business in the United States, with potentially massive legal and economic ramifications. Wow, what a great piece of writing. Another thing I see as a net positive is that this appears in a mainstream publication like Bloomberg Law. This is simply another medium via which I can spread my message, as I have always maintained. For an outsider looking in, you must be nothing more than a blank slate, right? And you come in with no preconceptions, wanting to know the truth. It seems to me that pretty much every single person on the entire darn planet would arrive at the same conclusion that we did. And look, I own XRP, it's my largest cryptocurrency holding, it's my favorite cryptocurrency, so I'm biased, okay, but I'm doing my very best to always be as intellectually honest as possible, and I hope you will give me the benefit of the doubt. Yes, I think that to be true. If someone walks through the door, in my honest opinion, they are only looking for the truth. They will ultimately decide in our favor. In any case, that is a fantastic article by lawyer John Deaton. My words here should not be used as a basis for making any financial transactions. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.